So welcome everyone. This is our monthly event where we try to clarify your doubts related to PMI-ACP. And as a ritual, I go through the basic content of PMI-ACP first, where we show how do you locate exam content outline, what is the overall process of doing PMI-ACP, and then we talk about your specific queries related to PMI-ACP preparation. Before that, I also give you a little overview of how our content is organized. So in case you want to enroll to our program and you want to prepare for PMI-ACP at a faster speed, you can definitely choose attending the live class or just taking our prep material, which is available to you for your own preparation. It's on your own time. You can just use it. In case you have any specific questions, you can definitely drop them into chat box and we will take care of it. Now we have a question, when you take a program from us, is it available for indefinite time? No, yeah, it is a limited time. Right now, we were giving a 6 months $150, so we have changed it now, 3 months $99, and it's an extendable. If you want to extend for a month, it will cost you $10 for that particular month, but usually you get certified in 3 months time, and after certification you need more experience and other material rather than our material. That's the intention which we follow. Now before we get into more details, let's understand what is PMI-ACP, and we look it from the perspective of PMI website directly. So when you go to PMI, in a certification section, you can locate to something called PMI-ACP. Now here you find all the official content and information related to PMI-ACP. Many a time participants keep looking at information based on some provider telling you this is important, this is not important. That can confuse you, that can derail your preparation also. So better you go directly to PMI website and study about PMI exam content outline and other details directly from pmi.org and PMI-ACP page. Now, when I go to PMI-ACP, here they explain me something about eligibility and the overall process. So let's learn about it. Now, first thing is it a right certification for me? Many a time people start thinking, Agile I have done in a CSM class also, Certified Scrum Master class also. Some of you may be Scaled Agile certified as well. Some of you may be PMP certified as well. Some of you might have done PMP, CSM, SAFe, all three. Now, should you do PMI-ACP? Actually, it depends upon how you want to position your CV and position your profile for future jobs. But I can say the individuals who are coming to us, they are trying to prove their competency, which is beyond a particular framework. Rather than saying, I know Scrum or I know Scaled Agile framework, they want to communicate that I know how to work in the Agile ways of working in a variety of situation, in a hybrid situation where one framework may not fit as it is. So if you see that you want to position yourself as a agile mindset person rather than a particular agile framework person, and you want to demonstrate it with a proper test-based program, then PMI-ACP is good for you. PMP exam also covers good amount of agile, but the depth of PMP exam agile coverage is very, very shallow. Whereas a PMI-ACP will go at least little bit deep. I would say 2 level more deep than PMP. It won't go further deep. Further deep will be needed for your day-to-day work. Day-to-day work, you go far, far more deeper than what you learn in the PMI-ACP, but it is far deeper than PMP. And many a time the individuals who only prepare at the level of PMP for Agile, for PMI-ACP, they don't make first attempt pass. So that's something important aspect we should consider. It's not just about knowing what is user story. It is also about recognizing out of 3 user story, which one is a good user story, yeah, which will not come in the PMP exam. But as an example, these kind of things comes into the PMI-ACP. So that's the idea. And this is the overall target positioning which PMI is doing for individuals who want to do PMI-ACP. Now, once covering, is it a right for me? And most of you who are here, I understand you are interested in PMI-ACP. That's why you are here. So I'm moving forward and talking about the steps. And in case you have any query, we can definitely keep typing it or raise hand. Then I will stop and take your query first. Now, overall, we can say before we focus on step for certification, prepare, apply, study and all, I can talk about eligibility. So PMI has a very lightweight eligibility for PMI-ACP. They just want you to be high school plus, yeah, so you have done graduation, you are good, and you need to have 2 years of agile experience. That's it. 2 years of working in the agile phase of working. Then you are ready for PMI ACP. In case you have a valid Scrum certification or SAFe certification, which is more than 1 year old and it is still valid, then they will reduce the eligibility experience requirement from 2 years to 1 year. But again, it's a small thing. So most of you will have a 2 year of agile experience. So you just need to document that. So with a high school plus whatever education you have, that information and 2 years of agile experience, the third thing you need to do is agile training. So you need to have 28 contact hours of formal agile training, which you have received on agile. And that training should be covering good amount of content as per PMI exam content outline. And if that is happening, then you are eligible for PMI ACP exam. If someone has done a PMP certification, then they don't have to demonstrate their agile experience. They can directly, for them, filling the PMI ACP application could be a 5 minute job because they just need to click something. And after a few clicks, if they have attended the ATP or Authorized Training Provider program, then their contact hours also automatically get uploaded in their profile and they can just go ahead and submit their PMI ACP application. Now we are Authorized Training Provider. We provide you PMI content using PMI content 28 hours of agile education, which makes you ready for PMI ACP. Yeah. So that's eligibility and the right targeting. If you have any question about that, please let me know before I go into the details of what is covered in PMI ACP and how can one prepare for it. Okay, so the obvious second question could be that, what is getting tested in PMI ACP? What is the exam content outline? Now, this question is usually answered in a PMI ways of working with a document called exam content outline. So from a website at the same place where you are watching the PMI ACP details, you can find a URL where it tells what is the exam content outline. Yeah. So the question is coming, do you have any session on MCQs of Agile Practice Guide book upon unrolling? So what does it mean is that do we have a video content and the questions which takes care of Agile Practice Guide? The answer is yes, we do have a video content and our question will be covering all this. Yeah. So we'll show you our content in a few minutes time. Yeah. So what is the PMI recommendation? PMI tells that people who are preparing for PMI ACP, they should be ready with the PMI ACP exam content outline, which divides the content into 4 categories. They talk about that individual should need to demonstrate the mindset proficiency, where they demonstrate they understand agile mindset. They need to demonstrate agile leadership, yeah, servant leadership and all, product, agile ways of working, product owner side of it, MVP, product backlog and other stuff, and delivery, flow, matrices, value stream mapping, system thinking, burn down chart, burn up chart, those comes into a delivery domain. Yeah. So these are the 4 category of work one has to prepare. Detail about it is also available in the exam content outline. So each domain has a tasks, like mindset talks about early delivery, demonstrating agile mindset, collaboration, transparency, promoting psychological safety. So these all things will get tested as a scenario based question in your PMI ACP exam. So these are the tasks. One can find them at a pmi.org. It's a public document. Now the question comes in, how do I prepare for it? So say from our side, if you are just starting for PMI ACP preparation and you have not yet acquired contact hours and you want to really understand the whole content of PMI ACP, our recommendation is you enroll with a PMI Authorized Training Provider program. Like we are also PMI Authorized Training Provider. And the advantage of enrolling to PMI Authorized Training Provider is you get a PMI material to prepare for PMI ACP exam. Yeah. Now, how this material looks like, I want to just give you a quick view. PMI has created 4 booklets for each domain, like one domain, you have a one booklet. And here, for example, the Agile Mindset booklet, most of these booklets are around 250 pages, around 250 pages. So you can say we have around 700 to 1000 in total, the pages of material. And here they are picking up each task and explaining you in a sufficient amount of detail that how as an agile practitioner you can do this particular task on a day-to-day basis as a agile leader. And when you attend our live class, when you enroll to PMI Authorized Training Provider, you get this material and you also get an access to the live class. You need to attend that because that's how you will earn 28 contact hours. In the live class also, we will be using the material provided by PMI, which covers this content as per exam content outline. So if someone is enrolled to authorized training provider, one thing is guaranteed, they have the material and their live class, which ensures they have 100% coverage of exam content outline. If you are not enrolling to authorized training provider, then that responsibility remains with you. You need to validate how much your content is covering authorized the exam content outline. For that, you can keep comparing the exam content outline at a pmi.org and whatever content outline your provider is providing to you. You need to see which all sections are covered and which sections are not covered. And you need to find out your own questions and answers so that you make sure that you are good with that. Yeah. So that's the recommendation. Now, many a time, so in general, if you are looking for PMI ACP and you are in an early stage, my recommendation is you enroll to our live class, get the material access from PMI also, and enjoy the live interaction and get ready with your agile learning. That's the best thing. On top of this PMI material, we also provide you a lot of practice question and a lot of pre-recorded video, yeah, along with your live class, which helps you in building good agile fundamentals and getting you certified with ease. Now, sometimes we have a situation where individuals might have tried PMI-ACP and could not make it successful in the first attempt. And sometimes we get a situation where the individuals have enrolled somewhere and now they realized that they got the contact hours, their application is approved, but now they are realizing they are not ready for the exam. They are not getting the right question bank, they are not getting the right clarity. So they look for some assistance. So for that kind of problem, we do have a mentoring program, which is a self-paced program to exam prep, which contain videos and question bank. Question bank is the main source there, which makes you ready for exam. If you do those question banks and score as per our target outline, then you will definitely pass the exam. But you need to really do those questions. You can't just skip them and you need to understand the context behind it. In case you have a query while you are doing it, we support you by clarifying those queries as well. Yeah, so that's our second program where you get excluded from the live program, but it's a cheaper one. It's a $99 program only, which makes you ready exam prep. Yeah. Now let me show you how this program or our content looks like. So we have arranged some pre-recorded content as well, like what there is a content on Agile. There is a complete PMI Agile practice guide covered in the video format. There is a videos on requirement, estimation, leadership, training. So there are content, which are the important topic for PMI ACP. Then there are other content to learn Scrum as the Scrum is. Yeah, just from a understanding Scrum as it is. It's a 6 hours plus content which teaches you Scrum. If you have not done CSM, then it's a very, very important content. We do have a similar content on Kanban. And then we have majorly, there is some more video content, which is case by case you use. So this is like around 20 to 40 hours of video content available. But if you use around 10 to 15 hours of video content, you may cover the gaps which you may be having right now with your current preparation. Once this is done, then you focus on assessments. And when we talk about assessment, that's the core part of it. From our side, we have ensured each and every exam content outline get tested multiple times using our domain specific test and our full length test. Yeah. When I make a full length test, I need to take say 20 questions from the mindset for a one test. But when I'm making another full length test, I will make sure I will cover another set of topics from the mindset, not to repeat those topics which are already got tested in the previous mock. So we have crafted these mock tests very, very carefully, which ensures if you cover them, then you are also covering the content needed for your exam preparation. To make sure that everything is getting covered, we have a domain specific test. Most of the domain specific tests have a 70 question, which are only focusing on that domain. Only delivery has a 51. And then once you are done with the domain specific test, then you do a full length test. We do have a target explanation, then you should be targeting 80% to make sure that you are ready for your exam. And if you do our domain specific and full length test after watching the video, if your preparation is not good, then you should be good for your PMI ACP exam certification. Yeah. So this is the content, and now we can have a query and discussion related to content area or something which you want to. Yeah. We have a question coming in. The person is saying, I have a PMI ACP exam scheduled on 15th December. Is there anything specific I can recommend? So my advice is that do look at exam content outline. That's the minimum thing you should look at. If you are not enrolled to our program, then do watch our like 150, I think, videos available on the YouTube, and do make sure that you have a good understanding of matrix interpretation. Yeah, many a time people face challenge of interpreting, looking at a burn down trend and targeting what is going to happen next. Yeah, so those kind of topics are important, but having a good grip on exam content outline should be useful. So we have a questions coming in. So the content in the PDF which you just shared of for each domain should be read before attempting the question bank. Mm, If you are a part of a live class, then automatically it get understood when you are attending the live session, because same thing get covered. Yeah. If you have already given the exam or if your application is already approved, then you don't have to read that PDF. Yeah. So if you are enrolled with someone, then you just need to go through the mock test directly. Probably you will score good directly. Yeah. Okay, are these questions similar to the questions on your website? So the answer is yes, and they are far more advanced than the freely available questions. The freely available questions also, I would say out of 150 questions, at least 70 questions of our freely available also shows good depth, but there are some basic one as well. When we go for a paid one, we focus more on the advanced question only so that you get ready for the exam. Yes, so they will represent the complexity which comes in the final exam. Yeah, so that's another question. Now, is the PMI ACP is a proctored exam? Yes. Is anyone from not engineering or a computer science background do not clear concept of those students of the basic levels? So the idea is the core essence of agile way of working was created for software development. The agile manifesto was written for software development. So if I am coming from a non-software background, then I need to prepare more, because there the whole conversation and concept is using software example, and there will be some amount of quality practices which are influenced by extreme programming like a test-driven development and all. They do focus on software side of working. But I don't necessarily have to learn coding to do PMI ACP. I just need to have an understanding how typically software projects get managed, how typically software projects may face challenges. And when you go through our content, when you listen to our video, you should get that clarity with ease. Yeah. So how do we prepare for matrices? I need to see various scenarios of matrices. You need to get a right source. So see, there are multiple ways. If I am already using those matrices in my company, then I don't have to worry about preparation because I prepare burn down chart day in, day out. Yeah, then it's easy. But if I have not that much extensively work on burn down chart, burn up chart, velocity chart, lead time, cycle time, say Nico chart, net promoter score, CSAT survey, cumulative flow diagram, throughput, if these words are not day to day used in my industry, in my work, then I need to understand them. I need to understand the formula of it. I need to understand how to make sense out of a given number. And I need to also understand by looking at a given number, what can I predict? Yeah. So interpretation, prediction has to be understood. Now, one thing is I can make a list of all these matrices and work with the chat GPT. That is also possible. Yeah, that's also possible. But then your intelligence is playing the role, because chat GPT will answer as per your prompts. Yeah, that's there. If you want to have a little more guided space, then you can definitely work with the provider who can provide you the content to understand these matrices, followed by a lot of questions on these matrices. And then by understanding the question and working with the AI tools, definitely you can sharpen your skills. So we can say, can you share tips on handling the non-essential information and confusing information that are in the PMI-ACP exam questions? So see, PMI exam, be it a PMP, be it a PMI-ACP, they try to make sometime verbo. Yeah. And that the verbo thing may have a relevance, may not have a relevance. Yeah. And as we increase our reading speed, as we have a better understanding of terminologies in the agile ways of working, our ability to read and interpret the question will increase. So yes, people will, there are possible, you can find an advice where they will say, first you need to read the last line, then you need to read the first line, and based on first line and last line you can make the decision. Maybe yes and maybe no. Yeah, because there is a possibility in between, there is a essential information which changes the flow of the question. So I would say, when you do, we have a 5 full length mock test. By doing 2 full length mock tests, you will figure it out what is working for you. It is less about following somebody's advice, rather it is more about learning by practicing what works for me. In general, my recommendation is try out few mock tests. It will be naturally coming, the technique will naturally come to you which suits you. So is there any way we can get a limited access in the less cost? Yes, that's a $99 less cost program, which we launched today only. It's a reduced one, and its duration is reduced for 3 months. We are giving our full content without PMI material. So PMI PDF and the live class is not part of it. It contains the pre-recorded video on various agile topics, which are very helpful. It contains topics on matrices as well, as a pre-recorded video. And on top of it, you get a good amount of questions to make you ready for the exam. It just costs you $99. It will give you far value than the money you spend for PMI study hall or anywhere. The amount of money will be like the return of the value will be far more than that. Yeah, other places you may get in a $60 you may get 2 exams only, and those exam quality are also not good. So here you are getting 5 full length mock tests, 17 question, domain test, and the assistance. If you have confusion about a query, you can reach us. Yeah. Now, if I pass the free mock test, is it enough for me to pass the exam? If in a first attempt of our 150 question test, you score around 85%, then most likely you will pass the exam. Yeah. In the first attempt, 85%. Yeah. Ideally 90%, but 85%. But if you have scored in a first attempt 70% or less, it's risky. Yeah, because we have a good amount of failure rate in PMI-ACP. So you decide how it has worked for you. The idea is, in a first attempt, because our video questions are not trying to confuse you, they are purely testing your competency. Whereas a real PMI exam will be confusing also. They try to just distract you. Yeah. So once my concept is also not clear, and then my distraction is also there, then we have a bigger problem. Yeah. But when my concepts are clear, even if few questions out of 120, maybe 20 questions, you may not even understand what they are trying to ask. And that will happen. Yeah, 20 to 30 questions, you will be always guessing. Yeah, because the way they have designed it, and maybe because the quality of question is also not good. Yeah, but they will say, we will judge based on the person making the decision. That's okay, but your concept should be good. Yeah, so that's why we minimum we recommend that you should be scoring 80% in a first attempt. Yeah, and that's why in our mock test we ask you to do it for few mock tests 80% in first attempt. Yeah, I know some of the other free mock tests you might be scoring 80%, but that's not enough. Yeah, that's not enough. You need to go into the details. Yeah. Now, what is the passing percentage of PMI-ACP? From a PMI perspective, they don't disclose, but from our client base, when they start touching 80% in the full length mock test, they pass. Yeah, the people who, even after enrolling to us, they don't take the full length mock test, or even if they take a mock test and they were scoring around 70% and they feel they want to go ahead for the exam, they most of the time they can't make it. Most of the time. Yeah. So what I can say is the pass percentage is PMI decision. They don't share it with us, but we share it based on our database. So out of 120 question, you should be scoring at least 100 plus, around 100-ish questions, right? Before you say that I understand the concept well. Because our questions are just testing your ability to interpret Agile. We are not testing your English much. We are testing your Agile understanding only. Okay, what next? Any other question? Yeah, we can talk. Any specific topic, if it is not clear, we can talk about that as well. If anyone is going through some preparation and they have a query, we can definitely take it. Okay, so question is coming in Agile. Can a Scrum Master pause an iteration and have the retrospective mid-sprint? 99%, the answer will be no. 99%. Yeah. So the idea of Agile ways of working, until unless you have a special context which makes the exception. Yeah, but without exception, significant exception, you should not do it. So say you are working in your sprint and something is not working right. Some problem is coming. Yeah. You definitely want to resolve that impediment. You as a scrum master, as a leader, wants to get sprint objectives met. Sprint goal should get met. But at the same time, I should not interrupt the sprint by involving everyone. So in general, what we recommend is that during the sprint, we focus on one-on-one problem solving. Sometimes we call it one-on-one coaching, one-on-one issue resolution. And once sprint gets over, on a sprint boundaries, we do retrospectives. Yeah. So in general, we should not interrupt the sprint flow until unless some special case which clearly indicates you have to interrupt it. Yeah. But in general, no. So is it possible to get the access of only your mock question? As I said, we have a $99 program which gives mocks only, but we are giving additional videos on top of it. Yeah, and that's the program. That's the cheap program we have made today. Another question coming is that are there specific cases where it is appropriate for the agile leader to assign work to an individual instead of allowing the team to decide? The answer is definitely yes, at some extent. So see, what we learn in our content as well as our work, as a leader, I need to also work in a situational leadership style. So when our team is in a forming stage, Tuckman ladder, yeah, some of you might have studied as a project management tool also. During forming stage, I am more involved. Yeah. Still, I may not be saying that this is work you have to do. I don't want to be authoritative as much as possible. Usually that's a bad idea. But I'm more involved in clarifying roles and responsibility and clarifying what one should do. Yeah, during a forming, storming stage. As the team starts moving to norming and performing stage, I want to take them to a norming and performing stage by doing team building activity by way of facilitating the conversation. And once they reach to a norming and performing stage, I should be focusing on self-organizing. Now, if I have a question and these things are not clear, by default, I assume my team is in a performing stage and I, as a scrum master, as a project manager, should facilitate the interaction so that people can pick up the work effectively based on their roles, responsibility, and understanding of the competency. So in general, that is my view. Until unless question says you are working with a newly formed team, you can say, okay, it's a newly formed team, then already a indication coming in. Or the question indicates that someone has joined the team recently, then also it's an indication which is showing we are in a forming stage. So if the spatial indication is not coming, then you are not going to assign it. But if spatial indication is coming, then only you can focus on more involved in the work assignment. Another question which is more or less related to this, like during a project first iteration, the newly formed team encounter major process issue that are significant impacting thing. As a team member suggest holding a retrospective to address it. These issues, should you be the, I will not do that. Yeah, I will not do it. Team member can suggest a retrospective. I'll say we will do it at the end of a iteration. Yeah, I can take care of that problem. Yeah, so whatever problem you have figured it out, we will resolve it. Yeah. So see, like this, practically as well as from exam perspective, you have a sprint, you start with a sprint planning. After sprint planning, you are focusing on achieving the sprint goal. Yeah. You should have a good confidence when you are doing sprint planning. There is a possibility there are some risks and issues identified during the sprint planning also, which you want to track every day. Now, every day you will have a visual indicator which will ensure that we have a good understanding of what we are doing and what we are not doing. So we have a clear sense and grip on how things are going. Now, in order to make sure complete transparent and conversation around that, we also do something called daily scrum. So as a daily scrum, we make sure everyone understand how things are happening and what kind of problem we are facing. In case some quick conversation is needed in order to solve some problems, we should do it as a meet after daily scrum. So some amount of inspect and adapt, which is needed for the whole team presence, or maybe a specific team members are needed to be present there, we can do after the daily stand up. Yeah. But that's a kind of an inspect and adapt. But that is not retrospective. That's a daily level inspect and adapt we are expected to do. The final inspect and adapt, which we are doing at the end of the iteration, we will do. Yeah. Now, if someone says we have cancelled the sprint, our customer has said this sprint is useless, and you guys have done everything wrong, then there is a possibility my product owner will say, let's cancel the sprint, let's hold a quick retrospective, what mistake we did in this sprint, and then we will. So in a way, that is again is a closing of the sprint only. It's not a mid sprint anymore. So I should be focusing on not getting confused with the mid sprint. At least we don't call it retrospective. We can do a meet after the daily stand up. Yeah. So that's a question. I'm often confused when it is appropriate to stop the sprint because what we are working on is not bring value. Any tips? In general, you focus on not to stop the sprint. Yeah. In a reality, you think that these kind of things happens once in a year. It is not something very often. And if they are happening very often, then better you stop using Scrum. Yeah, maybe you need different process. Maybe you need a Kanban way of working because your priorities are not stable for the 2 weeks duration itself. Yeah. Now, in case the question indicates, then you say that has to be a business decision. It is not a delivery team decision, not a project manager or scrum master decision. It has to come from the business that, we did a mistake, we made a sprint plan and we were unable to continue with this particular thing. It doesn't make sense to continue further. Then we can hold a retrospective, we close the sprint and we start again. Yeah, that's something you do. Yeah. So the question was coming in, how much percentage marks we have to acquire? I answered it. Yeah, but it was saying that, we don't have a PMI disclosed number. What we are saying is in our exam, if people score 80%, we assume they are doing good and they pass. And in our exam, if people score less than 70% and they go for exam, they usually don't make it. Yeah, that's a historical data, no official information from PMI. So I don't know study hall, we have to see. Now, even PMI slides and study hall can have mistakes, but usually the PMI question get feedback and they get corrected fast. PMI exam question. So don't equate the answer in a PMI material equals to PMI exam answer. Yeah, that's not necessarily. And one or two question may have interpretation errors also, but this is how it is. What is the margin of straightforward or a definition based question in the exam? Maybe less than 10. At least for PMI ACP, you have very, very less number of questions which are definition based. In a PMP, you do get a match the pair and those kind of stuff. But for PMI ACP, definition helps you to find the answers fast. Yeah, find the interpret the question fast. See, the whole idea is that when you practice with our mock test, it is just not helping you in getting your exam right. It also helps you in developing the right mindset for applying Agile in your day-to-day working. So don't think of using just the mock test for passing the exam. Yeah, you get it, you will get the terms, you will get the understanding, which will make you better agile coach consultant. And that's our objective. Our objective is just not to make you crack the exam. Yeah, so start practicing, you will get these things right. Okay, there was a question. XP is very confusing. What is the recommended for preparation? So in the content, you will get, from exam perspective, you may get around 10 to 15 questions where XP practices are used indirectly, directly. Yeah, that's the idea. Now, you don't have to master the technical practices of extreme programming. For example, test-driven development, continuous integration, those are good enough from a definition at a definition level only. Yeah. But yes, user story is expected to be understood well. Planning poker is expected to be well. Those are also kind of planning game and all these are extreme programming practices as well. But technical practices are definition level good enough. So don't get into the details of those technical practices, but you should know what is technical debt, but you should know what is refactoring. If these words are not clear to you, if their intent and the uses are not clear to you, then you can face problems in 10 to 15 questions. Because these practices will come significantly in a delivery domain. Delivery domain is all about making sure that we are making things right. Delivery domain is about technical practices and matrices only. Yeah. So again, one of the simple thing is if you have a right content, you read all these XP terminology from your content and understand it. You can use ChatGPT also. So it's like that you can take an exam content outline and prepare each and everything and ask ChatGPT what all XP practices I should focus on this particular task. You can pick up a delivery task. That is a one way to do it. Or you go to some reliable source where all these things are communicated to you or the questions are there so that they make you understand it. That's another way you can prepare for extreme programming. Yeah. Or you can pick up a book on XP also. That's also a possibility. Gantt chart will not come in the exam. So Gantt chart is a predictive lifecycle tool. As a sense, we can have a hybrid processes, but we will say that the Gantt chart is not relevant. I thought Agile could be applied to non-software projects. However, the PMI-ACP course response on the mock test is that XP is only for software development practices. So see, we need to the answer is yes. Yeah. So your advice is right. Yeah. So the statement is right. So we need to see Agile from the holistic perspective. You can say Agile is Agile values and Agile principles. If I get 4 values and 12 principles right, you may get 20 to 40 questions right in the exam. Yeah. If you have a good understanding of Agile mindset, the mindset domain is done for you. So it's a significant thing. Yeah, it's an important thing to take care of it. Now, yes, Agile Manifesto was written for software development. We are taking inspiration from it and trying to apply agility in a non-software world as well. The extreme programming specifically talks about various programming practices. So the applicability of or the design of extreme programming is primarily meant for software development. Yeah. So overall Agile was also made for that, but we can still interpret it. But extreme programming is more specific, more detailed. It talks about like test-driven development, writing code and then doing testing, continuous integration. It talks about maintaining your technical debt, doing continuous refactoring. So those kind of things which are more specific, clean code, it focuses on those kind of clean practices of the coding. So yes, it is primarily designed for software development. Yeah, so that answer seems to be right. Now, is there a question is coming? Is there any partial credit given for multiple choice questions? We don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows actually. Yeah, PMI has that non-disclosed process. So for example, if one question has a 2 right choices and if I select 1 right and 1 wrong, what do I get? I don't know. Yeah, nobody knows. But the another thing is such questions are rare. Yeah. So out of 120 question, you hardly get 2 questions which will have more than one choice, right? Majority of the question will be single choice, right? Yes. So if the exam question says the project is non-software, then I can exclude extreme programming as a correct response. So you can say yes. If we are focusing on hardware product development and we want to use Agile, which particular process will be good for that particular situation? And the option comes Scrum and another option is extreme programming. I will definitely pick up Scrum because Scrum is a iterative, complex product development framework which does not limit to software. There is no software specific advice in a Scrum way of working. So I can choose that and I will definitely exclude the extreme programming. There is no sequence diagram question in the PMI-ACP. It's not, use cases are not part of PMI-ACP exam content and activity diagrams, sequence diagrams will not come in PMI-ACP. Yeah, it's not part of exam content outline. So we need to study the exam content outline, Gantt chart, sequence diagram, activity diagram. They are not part of our exam content outline. Their interpretation will also not come. So can you share the different type of question and the quantities in the exam? These all are guess estimates in general, but you can say that out of your 120 question, the diagram oriented questions could be 4 to 8. Yeah, minimum 4, maximum 8, not more than that. Sometimes they create stress. That's the only thing, but that much only. Yeah, that's what we hear. Majority of question will be single choice, right? There will be scenario, but there will be a scenario. It's not just a interpretation. There could be some question, maybe 2 to 4, where you have some data. some email is coming, some data is given, not a table is given, not a diagram, but out of data and table, you need to make some interpretation. So you can say overall matrices with the diagram and data and some interpretation may cross around minimum 10, maximum 15 questions. Yeah, that's the area. And then you can say the overall, again, these are estimates which we keep hearing based on the social media responses. Yeah. There is no match the pair question in case of PMI ACP. There will be, because that's there in PMP, here it is not. There could be definition oriented questions, very less. Yeah, maybe rather than saying definition oriented, there are one or two liner question. Usually short the question, it's more tricky to find the answer because the choices will be weird. If the scenario is well explained, it's easy to find out what is the right answer. Yeah. So lean should be agile practice or non-agile practice. You don't get that kind of question in general, but you can say lean way of working is very compatible with agile ways of working. That is there. If specifically somebody asks, is the lean is also part of agile? You can say no. Agile is part of maybe ideas of lean, but lean has its own body of language. It is not inspired by agile manifesto in general. Yeah. But we don't see that kind of question coming in. Maybe someone creating mock like that, but not unlikely to show up in the exam. There are questions in the PMP as well where story points were given, but the answer was only in weeks. Is it safe to assume the length of the sprint? I'm not getting your first part of the question, but I can say when we talk about sprint, yeah, we can definitely say if the detail or the duration of the sprint is not given, it is safe to assume it's a 2 weeks. Yeah, it's a safe to assume by default. But in general, the sprint length could be 1 week to 4 week. I don't see a correlation of a story point here, but that's the sprint duration can become a 2 weeks duration. So as I said, the matrix questions could be 10 to 15, yeah, and there will be a combination of interpretation, data from a table, and the diagram, all three coming together. A diagram could be, now again, exact number prediction is difficult, but this is what we see. And they all become too easy, yeah, once you get an idea. It's all about that we have a right source and are we reading it? There is nothing which is confusing in PMI ACP. The only thing is confusing is that I don't prepare with the right material. Yeah. At least the matrix questions are easiest because there is no variability. You know that there is something is given, it is clear, or it is showing something or not showing something. So they are easiest provided I have practiced little bit about the matrices. There could be 15, 20 questions where nobody knows what the answer is. That's a possibility. And there could be a test question. We can hope they are test question. But PMI tells, we will judge based on the response person is giving. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about the right answer. You just apply your agile mindset and answer it. You can say, okay. But for remaining questions, you will get clarity. And that's why we want to prepare you for 80% marks so that the questions which are clear, they are clear for you. Yeah, they are definitely right for you. Things which are a little bit confusing, choices are very close. Maybe some of them may go wrong. It's okay. Still you pass with good ranks. Yeah. Okay, so this was our conversation related to your PMI ACP related topics. We had interesting conversation. Like you can just follow our YouTube channel, Eyes and Bridge. If you are already following it, you will get notified. My team may also end up sharing the email. If you want to know more details about our program, please connect. Yeah, we do have a team who can assist you. Some of you are already enrolled. Please start using the content and do connect with me if you have any query, but start using it. Now it's time to get certified. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your participation. It was nice talking to all of you.